Well, I am delighted to say that joining me on the Godcast today is the one and only Alexander O'Neill. Now, Alexander is very well known to people in the UK as a big selling artist of R&B music from the 80s and 90s. Now, Alex originates from Mississippi in America, but now he's recently moved, and we'll find out a little bit more about that. But Alexander, thanks for coming on the Godcast. How are you?
I'm great, man. It's a blessed day. A friend of mine told me, Alex. It's great because I get a chance to say Alex again. A friend of mine told me it's much better to be seen than to be viewed. So it's great to be seen today.
Okay. And where in America are you, Alex?
We're in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Okay. And how's it been over there with COVID? Have you had to stay home, or have you been able to get out?
COVID is COVID. I've had to deal with it. We just moved back to America from England in February. And so we've been in England all the time we've been in England all the time. We've been dealing with the COVID thing, and then we came back. And, I think that we're doing well, and the country's doing well. Everything is, everybody's trying to deal with it and get on with it. But everybody's on the upbeat. Seems like everybody's on the positive note.
I guess England must be your second home, Alex. You must have a real affinity with the UK.
Everybody knows during my whole career that I have a love affair with the UK and England, especially. Yeah, it's great. And we spend a lot of time there, my wife and I. And, we're always going back and forth. And it's just wonderful.
And you're due to come back and do some live dates. Are all those going ahead, Alex? Have you got the all clear to go ahead with that?
Yeah, I'm scheduled to leave in a couple of weeks here and start back. I'm so glad that the country is opening up, and we've been waiting and anticipating on the date when they was going to announce everything. And some friends of ours told us that they got some good news. So hopefully we'll be optimistic and everything will be on go and back to it. I think that definitely we're looking forward to getting back to work.
Yeah, and you're coming very close to where I live. You're coming to Blackburn. And you're with Cherrelle, the wonderful Cherrelle.
Yes, we are. We're coming there with Cherrelle, and I always enjoy working with my good friend Howard Hewitt and Jeffrey Daniels and those guys. We'll get a chance to come back and perform some of our greatest hits for you guys, for our British fans, and it should be a great evening.
Yeah. Alex, if somebody had said to you all those years ago when you were a young guy that you'd still be playing to big crowds and people still loving your music, what would you have said to them?
Well, I would just, I'm so thankful today, Alex, to be able to be my age of 67 years old and still doing what I do. And, I tell people that, I've had a wonderful life and wonderful career, and I'm just trying to get the rest of it, so whatever that is, But yeah, I'm still enjoying it. I'm still having fun, and so as long as I have health and strength to do what I do, I'll keep doing it because it's my privilege to be able to give joy to my fans.
Yeah. And where did it all start for you, Alex? Who were your kind of heroes as a kid?
I think that people like, for several reasons, people like James Brown, Donny Hathaway, Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight, just endless amounts of others. Aretha Franklin, those type of R&B, because I grew up down in Mississippi and we had a wealth of R&B music, right? Yeah. And so I grew up listening to a lot of great artists, and I have so many favorites. But, a lot of times that I'm really impressed with the fact that a lot of those artists back in the 60s, and they came out and they fought hard for the civil rights movements as well. They put their careers and stuff on the line a lot of times. So I would think that I was so in tune with those types of things. It's gratifying to see them be able to give back to the cause.
Yeah. And was your upbringing a religious upbringing, Alex? Were you in the choir or anything as a boy?
Well, Alex, here's a funny story. I was always too shy to sing in the choir and sing among people. But I come from a wealth of great singers. My mother, aunties, on both sides of my family, we were blessed with great voices. And often tell people that, I have a sister that sings circles around me, and I said, I have people in my family that I consider much better than me, but, God gives to who he pleases to give to. And he happened to, give me an opportunity to be able to be a singer, international singer. That's why I'm here talking to you today, Alex.
Absolutely. And Alex, I was wondering about, you've had such a great career in the UK. Who were the first British artists that you can remember thinking, oh God, they're interesting?
I would probably say the first British artist that I really known was British was probably Mick Jagger. Mick Jagger. It came up doing that Beatles, Mick Jagger, Rolling Stone type of thing. And I think that being a Black American coming from the region of the country that I come to, there were certain artists that was accepted in any community, any setting, any society. And it happened to be the Beatles were so big, and I would definitely say Mick Jagger, the Rolling Stones.
Yeah. And recently, Alex, I was fortunate to interview somebody who I think is a friend of yours, Kenny Thomas, who is a great soul singer. You like his music?
Kenny is a great guy, and we have a great friendship over the years. It's great, to be from another country, man, and to come other places and make these type of lifelong friendships and lifelong connections, And Kenny's one of those guys who's a great soul singer, especially for a white boy, But I love him to death, and he's my friend. And he's a great guy.
Yeah. Alex, when did it actually start really happening for you? When was the moment when you thought, oh yeah, I've got a career in the making here. People are taking notice of my voice. Can you remember what it was?
Well, actually, it was doing my first recordings that were less popular than some of the recordings that I've done. We did a song called Playroom. My fans can Google that up, and a song called Make It Easy. And actually, Alex, it was getting in the studio gave me the confidence, knowing my way, getting to know my way around the studio gave me the confidence within my talent, within my gift, and start believing in myself. And I think the first time when I knew that I wanted to have a career in the music industry was when I stopped trying to mimic other singers that had already had a career in the music industry.
Yeah.
And, I would be trying to sing songs like Peabo Bryson's and those kind of guys. And he was singing way up here and he was singing so high in a natural voice. And I would go home after singing Peabo Bryson's song and wonder why my throat would be killing me. It's like, dude, that's not your key. You're trying to do something you don't do. So I had to find Alex. And once I found myself, I think that's what I got. That's when I really got really serious about it.
Yeah. And how did you go about that? Were you encouraged? Were the people in your career that kind of really encouraged you to do that? Or was this kind of epiphany moment where you thought, no, I've just got to be myself here?
Well, I've always had great support. My family's always supported me. Even when I was just trying to find my way around, I was just singing in Minneapolis, St. Paul, at local bars and local clubs, and I sang with a lot of different groups that were on certain levels. Some were smaller, some were, more recognized. And so it was a big help for me, man, being able to be a local star and get all that experience, singing in local music thing. But that's where it really started for
me. And from there, that next level, Alex, where people started buying records and I suppose the auditoriums got bigger. How did that transpire for you?
Well, that was great. After becoming a part of the Fight Time family, and with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis and Clarence Avant, who's this big music mogul, it was really a great opportunity for me. I can say something to a lot of the fans out there. You never know where your opportunity comes from. I never would have known. I've always been to California. We went there, tried to get a deal a couple of times, going back and forth. But I never known that I would get my deal and my whole success and never have to leave Minneapolis, St. Paul, you know? And so it was wonderful, the great opportunity, man, working with all of those kind of people. So I had a great supporting cast. You know, it was just wonderful.
Yeah. And then when the hit records started coming, was this kind of hallelujah moment? You were thinking, right, I've hit the big time now.
Well, it was great. You know, hitting, you know, I said that I made a vow, Alex. I said, I'm not going back to California. I'm not going to try to go out there trying to get a hit, trying to get a record deal, nothing. When I go back to California, they're going to have to invite me back. And guess what, Alex? By, you know, the grace of God, that's what happened. That's what they did. They invited me back and beyond. So, you know, it was wonderful.
When I was talking to Kenny Thomas, Alex, he said, he was very honest. He said, I'm a bit of a one-trick pony. I'm a soul man. Do you like other genres of music, Alex? Do you like all genres? Is there other, share with some of your fans some of the other music tastes that you have?
Well, you know, that's the thing about me is that I love all music. All music, any music that's good. If I like country, western, I like bluegrass. I like anything that's good. If it's a good song, it's just a good song. But I do have the ability to be able to not just be one-minded and think one thing. So I like a lot of different music. You know, I've just recorded a new album with some friends of mine up in Manchester, England. And I came out of my comfort zone to do this. And it's a very positive album. It's almost autobiographical.
Okay.
About my life and growing up in Mississippi and dealing with all the controversies and different things that one has to deal with when you're coming up, being a Black man in that type of environment, definitely back in the 50s and 60s. So it was I have a lot of stories, a lot of stuff to tell. And in this album, it's not typical R&B, Alex and O'Neill stuff that you hear. You know, it is kind of brain stuff, you know. So it's really a great project. And yeah, I like all kinds of genres, all different genres of music.
And just touching on that time as a kid, Alex, were they happy times, or just give people a flavour of what it was like growing up there? Was it tough, or was it a happy time for you?
Pardon me?
Growing up as a kid in that area, what was it? Was it a happy time for you? Or did it come with struggles, or was it okay?
Well, growing up in that era was a difficult time, but it wasn't for someone like myself who was oblivious to a lot of things other than racism, prejudice. You was taught from an early age how to deal with that, being in that kind of environment. You didn't behave like we was from New York City. We behaved like we was from Mississippi, okay? And that's the way we had to deal with things to get the results that you needed. But it was a tough upbringing. But the amazing thing about it was so good because we had so much in the Black community and in my family structure was so big on both sides. So we all kind of had this camaraderie with each other, and we kind of took care of each other. And I would love to see families get back to that today, because it seems like we've lost that sense of family. And that's really important, man, because, you know, family is a very, very important thing.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Alex. We've noticed at our church kind of a yearning for a sense of community, and particularly with COVID and with families being apart, I think it's heightened the need to get back together and be family once more.
Yes, we do.
Alex, just in regards to this new album, how important is the producer in this process for you? You know, you said you've been pushed out of your comfort zone. Is that the key strength of a producer, would you say?
I think it was a combination of both of our efforts, because his name is Alex Johnston, and it's a group that worked hard on the album. It's called Mama Freedom from Manchester, England. And so I kind of told the story. Alex kind of wrote it up, and the parts that I missed, he put in, right? So there were certain songs and certain things, but I had my hand in this album more than I've had in most albums that I've done. And so I have a lot to tell. It's a lot to tell, and it's all positive, man. It's a great thing. And even the music, the other music, is not straight R&B music.
No.
Some of it's kind of rocky, some of it's kind of bluegrassy, some of it, it's a different kind of, I came out of a total different thing because Alex, I always wanted to be the kind of artist that, could have that type of diversity.
Yeah.
And be able to do other things and other songs and not just be stereotyped as an R&B singer. So this was a great opportunity for me to come out of that, and this album should be coming out sometime this year, and we feel very, very positive about it.
Alex, are your fans that loyal that they'll love whatever you sing? If you sing the telephone...
Too kind, brother.
If you sing the telephone directory, will they applaud anyway?
We'd like to, just like I said, we'd like to think so. I just enjoy what I do, Alex. And one thing I figured out, I tried to figure out for years, what do I do for a living, right? What is my title? And I kind of figured out, I said, you know what you do? You make people feel good. And that's what I try to do. And every time I do a performance stuff in front of somebody, I always bring my A game. I always try to be the best that I possibly can be because you never know who you're going to affect out there. No. You put yourself out there, sing the songs that the fans want to hear, the things that are going to make them feel good. And not some artists go and we sing and do what we want to do. Yeah. And that's a little different take on that. So I feel honored and privileged to be able to help somebody during maybe a rough time. And they come to an Alexander O'Neal show and they leave away and they feel a little better. Yeah. So that's my job.
That's a great, and what a great job as well. I was fortunate to go to the theatre on Saturday, Alex, for the first time in about 18 months. And it was, the feeling was just wonderful, and I could really feel a buzz in the arena. And I'm sure that would be the same when you hit the shows again later in the summer. I think people are just desperate to get out there and have a bit of a party time, aren't they?
I think so. We've just recently did a performance here in America, and it was my first performance because I felt like it was my debut. I hadn't performed since like once in the last year, so I'm questioning myself. Okay, can you still do this? Can you, and so I find out, and it was wonderful the response we got from the people and everything. And I think you're right, Alex. I think that doing everything that has happened during this pandemic, it appears that once people get a chance to get back out there, I think the pandemic has definitely made us aware of how important our freedom is, and our health and our freedom and our livelihood are. And it can be taken away from us within an instant, right? Yeah. And so now people have a better appreciation of the simple things in life that you couldn't do before. So yeah, I think they will be keen to come out and have a ball.
Yeah. Yeah, Alex, I was going to ask you, what's your relationship with kind of religious music? Do you enjoy hymns, for example? And have you ever recorded any gospel songs?
Well, I have. I have this great gospel song called "Lord, Give Me Power." I've done that with a gentleman called Byron Arms years ago in London. And when he recorded the song, I didn't think that it was going to have the significance within my career that it did. But a lot of people know that song and know that that's one of my contributions. I always wanted to do a gospel album, but I didn't want to just jump off of R&B and just jump into something else just because I could.
Alex, just talking of relationships, what was your relationship actually like with Prince? That's a kind of a legendary figure that's kind of out there, and I've read various stories about your relationship with him. What's the truth about your relationship with Prince?
Well, first of all, I want to say that my experience with Prince was a very religious man, and definitely had strong beliefs. But Prince was Prince. Alex, sometimes when you're dealing with here's the deal. I got fired by Prince before I got hired, okay? Almost in the same breath, okay? And so that is okay. We all grew up in the same musical circles in Minneapolis. And so I knew Prince and we had worked long before he had a record deal. And so it was different. But you know, when a guy is young as Prince was, and you have that much power, sometimes to whom much is given, much is expected. But when you're that young, you don't know what's expected, okay? So sometimes you make decisions that maybe they might not be popular decisions or one so positive, and they affect people, like the firing of myself and all that stuff, of course. But you know something, man, I often think about Prince and all of his accomplishments. One thing about Prince, he showed did leave us with a wealth of great music and a lot of great positive stuff. And so good things come out of, people got to remember, good things come out of bad experiences sometimes. I'm one of them. You know, had I have been one of those people that was all jealousy and I'd go and say negative things about Prince or anybody, you know, I don't think it's a good thing. And so therefore I always try to maintain my dignity and some integrity about myself when it comes to my relationship with Prince, because I've been asked this for many times. Mm-hmm. I never forget the Rolling Stone magazine had me a little short interview, 2 paragraphs. And at that time, Prince wasn't doing interviews. So they was looking for somebody who had a negative experience with to badmouth him and stuff like that. And my philosophy is that if you can't say something good about somebody, then you don't say nothing at all. Yeah. Keep your mouth shut. And that was the beginning of, had I went out and said all kind of negative things and stuff like that, I don't know if Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis would have helped me got a record deal. Me and Prince got over whatever differences that we got over. I have nothing but the utmost respect for him and his accomplishments, as well as I know he has the same respect, had the same respect for me.
Yeah, that's good to hear. That's lovely to hear. And Alex, just away from the music, I mean, I loved Big Brother when it was on in the UK. And it was such a surprise when I'm sat there on the opening night and you rock up on the show. Was that an experience you look back fondly on, or was it a complete nightmare?
It was an experience that I look back fondly on. You know, when you're cohabitating with a lot of different people in that type of environment, you know, everybody brings their differences to the table. And one thing, I had a hell of a time trying to convince people that, first of all, we don't live here. We're not friends, you know. So everybody had their own little hate group club. Like, we hate this club. We don't like this club. And I'm like, dog, I'm trying to get along with everybody, right? But you know, it was a great experience, and I got a lot of, you know, profile. My profile went up to 9 million, and I think more so I was doing it for the profile more so than the money. But the money was helpful too. But the only thing I left at, I didn't ever leave. They said I left the Big Brother house. I didn't ever leave the Big Brother house, okay? Never left the Big Brother house. They called me up to the diary room after my confrontation with Perez Hilton, the last confrontation.
Yeah.
Then they called me up to the diary room, and it was a Saturday, and they said, Alex, I think that you've accomplished with it after 11 days. I was going to stay the whole time. I didn't want to stay the whole time. I wanted to go. But I was determined to toughen it out. And so they said, okay, this is the truth. They said, we think you've accomplished a good thing. We don't want you to destroy yourself by shooting yourself in the foot. They like I was going to hit Perez Hilton or something, like, you know, I'd be prone to violence. And I'm like, you know what, dog? I'm like, let me tell you something, man. I'm representing Black Britain. I'm representing Black Britain. You ain't saw no black man on Big Brother like you saw me on that during that whole existence. I'm representing Black Britain in a positive way. Do you think that I would get on national TV and stoop to hitting somebody or stuff like that? No, that was all it. So, but they knew I wanted to go, and they said, okay, here's the catch. Because if you quit Big Brother, you don't get paid, you know.
Ah.
You don't get a quarter. So they said, this is what's going to happen. Talk to the producers. You're going to get your full fee, and you're going to leave today. I never known that I wouldn't be going back down to that Big Brother existence again. It was already planned out. Look, Big Brother is the type of thing it's controlled by Big Brother staff. Okay, they have turns and twists and stuff the way they want the show to go, and they didn't want the show to turn into the Alexander O'Neal Perez thing. They wanted Perez, whatever he was put there for. We always thought he was a plant. You know, he was planning in to create all this type of problems and everything. And so they have their own plan in the way they did it. So when they paid me and told me I could go home on Saturday night, you don't even get to pack your own bags, Alex, okay? You don't go back down to the setting at all. You get to get in the car and drive back to wherever you go.
Right.
So it was a great experience. I met a lot of good people there. Katie Price and Kavanaugh and Hopkins, what's her name? Katie Hopkins, that was my buddy.
Yeah.
And we got into a big row. But I love her to death. I met a lot of good people.
Yeah, wonderful. And what about your fans now? Alex, have you got a message for your fans, particularly in the UK who watch this, about you coming over? You must be really excited.
Well, I just want to let you guys know that, you know, just keep having faith, and I keep trying to have faith. It's something I do. I try to live up to, and keep God in your life, and just keep trying to be the best that you can be each and every day. I think that I believe in church and I believe in congregating, but I also think that the church lives inside of you. And if you're doing good and doing good for others and trying to be the best person you can be, I think that that's what God expects of us. So let's try to live up to that.
Yeah.